trails that go through the Forest Preserve. How many people want to see a 35-foot bronze statue of some person?
So we're not just being asked to rule on the presence of the statue, but also the presence of a non-profit.
Yes,
It's repeatable.
determination that the ZBA needs to make whether this fits into that category of a museum. It's described in their proposal as a garden and a work of art, and a statue seems to be, to me, to be most appropriate to be called a cultural facility. And, you know, they mentioned a few other statues in other places, mostly in Japan, where these things have been established and they become big tourist meccas.
Would not 36-foot high statue require an area variance for the height of the statue?
No, it would fit within the requirements.
Uh-huh. And then what about the view shed requirements? We don't really.
There are none.
So in the dead of winter, this would not be visible by any of your
Well,
neighbors?
I've actually, you know, the place where it's situated, you can't actually see it from Slide Mountain. There's an obscure trail directly across from it, and I've put a flag up and gone to the other side with binoculars. The statue is surrounded by a grove of trees that are over 80 feet high. And so I could see them with my Bushnell binoculars from one specific point in an area where I've never seen any other hikers. It's not, you know, anywhere close to where the campsites are and that specific set of hiking trails.
And also, the fact that someone may not appreciate a statue like this is completely subjective and irrelevant to the purpose before this board. This is the zoning board of appeals of the town of Shandaken. You deal with zoning and land use issues, not with somebody's personal perceptions of the statue.
No, we're more concerned about community character,
Yes.
as is in our.
Exactly, I agree. And it fits in, even whether or not these other institutions are grandfathered also is irrelevant because it's part of the community character that currently exists. You only need one similar use in the town for it to be, to meet the test of it being incidental or used in other parts of the town. So it meets that test. Now, you know, and I also disagree that this is characterized as a museum. It's a not-for-profit membership club, and what really should have happened is we should have been sent to the planning board for a special use permit, which we're happy to do. We don't think that this is an issue that gets decided on the basis of fitting this in to something that is not.
What is the structure associated with the property? Is this your private home?
Yeah, it is actually. It's my secondary residence. I live in Queens, near St. John's University. And my parents and I have a foundation, and that was the legal purchasing entity for the property.
This is a review.
Site plan, that, oh, site review.
A site review.
Yeah. Site visit. Yeah.
Site plan review is by the
Site
planning
plan.
board.
I'd just like to see the property and see it.
That would be great. You know, from the beginning, we've been transparent. Like before we even actually literally went to China to get the statue fabricated, we came and we presented the idea to Howie's predecessor, Mr. Tutts. The town of Shandaken in 2017 had a meeting where Rob Stanley said there's no statues for statues. So before we even went into the process, we came and discussed with the relevant bodies what we needed to do, and we incurred considerable expense thereafter. And so, again, we're totally transparent in everything that we want to do and intend to do.
And the driveway was already vetted by the DEC, which approved it. And this has been a long process. You know, as Sanjay says, it started with Warren Tutt and how he came in and replaced Warren, and that's where we stand today. And when it was before Warren, it was less of a pushback on the statute, but now we're here today. And again, my position on this, which I think jives exactly with your code, is that as a not-for-profit membership organization, we should not be here. We should be before the planning board for special use permit, and they can impose whatever conditions they think are appropriate. I know some concern has been voiced about whether or not the public would be fascinated by the statue or try to visit it, but they can. It's a private property. Just like any other property, if somebody trespasses on it, there's trespass. It's not going to be open to the public.
How did it happen that it did not come before the planning board before?
The zoning enforcement officer, the building inspector, so he makes a determination whether or not to issue the building permit. If he decides that there's some issue and he can't issue the building permit, he can deny it. And that pushes us here, because this is the place.
It can't be seen from anywhere within 36 foot statutes of the
There's somebody back there putting a hand.
Yeah. Am I allowed to say something?
Well,
You may have a question.
Yeah. Well, I clarifying point.
Step, why don't you come forward so we can hear you, please?
Sorry. So my name's Gail Margulis. I live in Jamaica Hills, which is where Sanjay Rahu is. And he has, just to be clear about this, he has said that his Illumin Service Foundation has 3 members, but he is associated with the Sri Chinmoy Foundation, which has thousands and thousands of members. And they all descend on Jamaica Hills during their holidays and during times, which is why we, who live in Woodland Valley right now, why we've opposed it, is because we know that we actually know that they've solicited, there's been donations from people all over the world that belong to the Sri Chinmoy Foundation, because they want to see this big, huge statue of their guru. So it's not as simple as it's sounding as opening it up to public use. I don't know whether they be public or private, but that is what the opposition has stated. Just so you know.
Thank you.
You know,
And this will trigger a public hearing too.
Well, the question really is, and with what she's saying, it's quite evident that this should really be before the planning board for special use permit, so they can hear these questions, have a public hearing, and make a determination what conditions should be imposed. That's what this is all about.
And I should add that my own religious beliefs, should be separated from any type of determination by the zoning board.
pardon, say that again?
My own religious beliefs should be separated from any zoning board.
Totally.
zoning board.
Yeah.
Yeah, Howie, question for you. This thing seems like somewhat out of an ordinary type of structure. Something 35 feet tall, fabricated in China. I'm reading notes about field welding the thing together, etc. All I see here is a plan from an architect, site plan, more or less. I would think, as a professional engineer, that
There is
there ought
an
to be a
engineering
structural
document.
review as far as wind loads, the actual structure itself, weld procedures. I mean, this is an involved structure by any stretch of the imagination, and it's out of the ordinary.
Yes, for sure, I agree. And there is a engineering drawing for the foundation.
That's all I've seen, yeah.
Correct. Mhm.
But I mean, I'm reading notes about this thing being put together with field welding. Basically, the shell of a statue is what I'm reading about. What's going to carry it? I mean, you know,
We're happy to submit structural engineering drawings for the assembly of it. That's fine.
It's
Well,
totally
our
subject.
proposal is really for the base right now.
The base is what they came in for the building permit application. So we're totally subject to the building code.
And the engineering side of things is of deep interest to us too. It's like, we want to build a structure that
Yeah.
remains standing. So.
Yeah, the building code is separate from the zoning.
yeah, I
application.
understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just asking as an engineer.
Well, those are good, you raised
This
good
thing
points.
is kind of an off-the-wall project.
What is the estimated weight?
I don't know. We probably have that. I don't have that memorized, what it weighs. It's a hollow bronze
Cast bronze.
cast.
I actually visited it in China and it's extremely strong. We can submit engineering drawings that will.
It was actually pre-welded in China and then cut up to.
So where we're at now is you're here to appeal a decision made by our building inspector.
Yes, that's how we have to do it that way. It's just a technical requirement that we had to come here to appeal this. And to cover ourselves, because if we don't meet the 30 days statute of limitations, we lose the opportunity to appeal, which we met. And, we understand your concerns, Howie's concerns, the neighbor's concerns, and that's why this thing is subject to a special use permit and should be in that venue.
Okay,
now-
so let me just finish. So what would have to happen, for us to make a determination, we would first have to have a public hearing. To make any determination from this board, we need to have a public hearing. So I think at this point, we should say, I would make a motion to send this to public hearing
A second.
in our next month's regularly scheduled meeting. And then we'll take it from there.
Okay, and we're just, what this is really is we're asking for an interpretation from you, whether this should even be before you. So that's the big,
Okay.
the crux of the legal issue, I think, here. And, you know, the other issue is if you decide.
Okay, we're in the middle of a vote. Just hang on.
Okay,
Just a
sorry.
minute, vote. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. So I think there are really two key issues. Number one, does it even belong before the zoning board? If it's subject to a special use permit, my understanding is the planning board hears those cases.
Okay.
And we'd have to go through that process, and everybody from the public could come out and make their comments and suggestions. We're subject to the building code, of course, subject to engineering plans to cover that, and how is the building inspector to make sure we're following the plans. The second legal issue would be if you decide that it belongs here in front of you on some other legal basis, that, you know, what I wrote in the memo, if you'll read it by the next meeting, our position is that, with all due respect, because I know he's doing his job, he's a tough job, but the legal standard is arbitrary and capricious, and that's the basis for how he erring on the side of requiring us to come here first.
Okay, and you would have plenty of time at the public hearing to
Yeah.
raise those issues.
Okay, just give me an outline, so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a question for
Thank
Mrs. Wilwall. Am I pronouncing that right? I know the street Chinoy vibe is very powerful all over the world. He's got many millions of followers. This statue is put in place. People want to come, they want to honor, they want to observe, and people start driving up Woodland Valley and start driving up your road. How do you prevent that as a private? I mean, you can't.
That's the crux of the question. And when I met with the Woodland Valley Community Association at our annual meeting in 2018, at the end, people determined that we should sit down and impose conditions, like the number of people that can visit at all. I mean, that's important to me. There's a lot, I guess, chain across the road right now, so nobody can actually drive up it. But if we need to put a bigger gate or something to keep the general public somehow out, you know, fine. It's like whatever conditions people feel in the community are important for something like this.
Well, that would be the role of the planning board. I'm just looking ahead to unintended consequences.
Yeah, and those are all totally valid, and I feel like, you know, there is a place and time for that discussion, and I want to have it. You know, people's ideas will definitely be considered.
Just to address that, expressing those concerns about whether other people will come, that can happen with any decision that the board makes. You can impose conditions on any applicant. Let's say they have a restaurant, you don't allow more than 45 people in the restaurant, they can pack it up with 60. The idea is you make your decision, we're supposed to follow the law. If we don't, there are consequences. So,
Okay, great, thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So,
Sir,
Fellow in the green shirt at the back.
May I speak?
yes, you may.
If you have a question, it's not a public hearing, so if you have a specific question,
I have a specific question for this item.
okay, let's,
These people are talking about controlling people coming into the valley. How are they going to control it if this is passed? We're going to have a police station on an entrance to 28? We don't know if there's going to be 1,000 people on Sunday
right,
or Saturday or Wednesday.
sir, excuse me, we're just concerned with the issue between Howie and the people in the foundation here. That would all be in the prevalence of the planning board.
Okay.
When it gets before them, though, and there'll be plenty of time for you to speak there.
But that's the question, that's the question I just asked.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sir? No, we're done. Okay.
So then we have Tuan Luong, he's the representative for Patricia Carminati. You have the application in here.
just to clarify, we're coming back.
Yes, you'll come back next month.
Okay, thank you.
I'll shoot you an email.
I'm representing Patty Carminati, the property is on.
I'm sorry.
It's,
This map?
yeah, it's, so her property is on 19 Schweitzer Road.
No.
Hang on one second. Look at your application.
You guys are punished, you need to clean out your folders.
Okay, you're speaking for Carminati?
Yep, exactly, for 19 Schweitzer Road.
Yeah, excuse me, let's wait till we go up on the back side of town.
You gotta clean your folders out, boys.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Go ahead. Now we're on the same page.
Mr. Long, is it?
Yes.
I don't.
Juan, I'm working as their architect.
Okay.
And so we,
Guys, please, can you keep it down? Gentlemen.
so what they're looking for is an area variance. And so I provided you guys with a plot plan showing the required front and side yard setbacks. And those are the dashed lines in red, right? So, I mean, what's left over is basically a sliver of a triangle that you can build on. So I think it's the first page on the PDF. First page, you'll see like the dash red lines. And so initially there was an existing 18 by 90 trailer that was demolished there. And I have the demolition permit from the owner and all that good stuff, so I have that with me if you guys need that. But what they're looking to put in on that property is a 37 by 53 two-bedroom house, and the existing trailer was a two-bedroom trailer. So they're just looking to put that to the same use in that area. It's just the way the lot is configured, it makes it really hard to build a house on this, right? So to me, it's pretty straightforward, because of just the way the lot's configured, and the way the code reads, giving, saying it has to be 50-foot front setback, 50-foot back setback, 25 foot in the front, 25 foot in the back. So what you're left with is very hard to build on.
Yeah, Schweitzer Road is really small parcels. Schweitzer Road is really
Yeah,
small
so there,
parcels.
and I'm basically also submitting sort of some pictures of existing houses around the area, and also giving you guys the elevation, the elevations we worked out with the owner, just to show that we're trying to keep in character with the entire area. We're not trying to do anything that's out of character. We're not trying to build a glass box out there. I mean, we're just trying to put us. They're looking to have their retirement home.
So at the present time, there is no structure on it?
There's no structure on there. All that's left there is, some CMU blocks where the old trailer used to sit on, and then stub-ups for the electric, stub-ups for the septic, all that good stuff. The plan is to try to just tap into the existing electric, tap into the existing septic, make sure we're not over, I'm getting the septic information from the owner to make sure that we're not overloading it, but to me, we're really not overloading anything because it's the same two-bedroom, sizing of the house.
Is that being situated in the same footprint as the trailer was?
So we're putting the corner of the house basically at the front corner of the trailer to try to utilize where the stub-ups are, right? Because we don't want to be, digging up the entire site.
No, I
where
understand.
we want to go,
Yes, I think, so in your drawing, you actually show sort of a thin dotted line. Is that the previous trailer?
Yeah, so you see that rectangular line, that rectangular box?
Yes.
That's the
Almost to
previous
the trailer, almost to the property area. It does come to the property line.
It comes very close. to the
Okay,
property.
okay, good. Now we're on the same page.
That was
Yeah.
probably before the zone code.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, that trailer didn't even meet the setbacks.
Right.
It may have predated.
I think it predated, so, you know, I'm just trying to meet.
Yeah. Yeah, transfers all these, matches.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at those pictures, I mean, you'll see that they're small lots. I mean, most of the lots there are really tiny.
Okay, yeah. All right, so,
Yeah. What is the size of this lot we're looking at now?
I think it's 1.6, oh, I have an application, it's not big.
Oh, I don't know, 0.34 acres?
Yeah, it's 0.34
Okay,
acres, so it's a tiny
Third
lot.
of an acre, okay.
Yeah.
I can see a problem.
About a third of an acre.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I would make a motion that we send it to public hearing unless anyone has any more questions. Second. Okay.
Okay.
Second, we need a motion for a public hearing, and Joe seconded it?
Or Gary beat it to it.
all in favor?
All in favor?
All right.
There's something required by law that we have to allow people.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So the next meeting is just the 16th, right?
Yes, I'm gonna mail a letter to you, that will have a public hearing announcement in it, that'll go out in paper one, it'll go in one Sunday newspaper, it'll tell you what's coming, it'll be 7 o'clock next month, October, it'll be the third
The third.
Wednesday of the month, yes.
So my only request is that, can I be put at the last, the person to be last to be heard?
Okay.
Yeah,
Just because I'm just coming up, like,
Yeah,
I wanna,
You're coming up from Astoria, Queens?
yeah, so I wanna
That's
like,
easy. Yeah, I
you
can do
know,
that.
New York City traffic, I'm
You know, you don't
sorry.
gotta fill those
Accommodate you, I think.
It's not easy, so, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I have this? I'm gonna keep, I have another one upstairs that I can give to Joe. All right. Somebody wanna make a motion about the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, somebody make a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion to close this public hearing, close the meeting.
Meeting.
I'll second.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we should really, make a determination about the business.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Are we not filming anymore up there, Ellen?
So can I take this home?
Please do.
I thought we were not supposed to take it.
No, I don't know what you guys have looked at,
Well,
what
I'm
you...
gonna give you the folder and take home what I
Excellent,
need.
because I give you guys everything, I mean, there's only 5 of you, so it's hard to miss somebody not giving you a map. Just what happens is when they put the application in, like Sanjay did, you guys have that. Now, next month, we come back for public hearing, there's new applications that are now in the mix with this, and you guys are like, where is it? And I look like an idiot. You're welcome.
I'll do all I can to review this ahead of time before.
You know, I don't know, I know they're upset that they're waiting so long, and I get it, and they've done so much for Vail.
Hold on, we adjourned the meeting, we really can't.
Oh, well, there's too many people here, that's right.
Yeah, we really
Yeah, no,
cannot
yeah, no.
continue to discuss.
Understood.
Okay?
What's the matter with you, Tracy?
Look at Roswell.
I hate a smart ass.
You what?
I hate a smart ass.
You hate a smart ass? Coming from a smart ass? Takes one to know one, right? God. No, these guys are cleaning out their stuff, so it should be easy peasy. All right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I want to do a second if anybody wants to join up there. Maybe.
That's fine.
Yes, yeah, I can take you up there. I know, I've actually walked up there.